Good morning, boys and girls, from Black Powder headquarters and the Bojangles studio high on Sassafras Mountain. CDA presents Real Tree Radio. Welcome to a brand new, unused Saturday morning. Good morning, boys and girls, from Black Powder headquarters high in the mountains of North Georgia and the Bojangles studio. Welcome to a brand new, unused Saturday morning. I love that, James Brown. Welcome to the program, everyone. It is an unused Saturday morning for O'Neill Outside, and we've got another hour of outdoors headed your way. It's my pleasure to invite you to watch O'Neill Outside Television, Fox Sports South, Fox Sun, Fox Arizona, the Pursuit Channel, the Hunt Channel, and Tough TV. And you can watch all the shows by going to o'neilloutside.com and click on the television, and you can see all the shows there. It's 7 after the hour, and we've got a full schedule this morning. We hope you'll join us. The telephone numbers are 404-872-0750, 404-872-0750, or outside the Atlanta calling area, 800-972-8255. You can listen on WSB 750 AM and 95.5 FM, and on the SB Nation Radio nationwide, from Virginia to California to Washington and all across the East Coast throughout Texas. And you can listen to O'Neill Outside on the SB Nation. This radio program at WSB is brought to you by Tough Shed, by Striplings, Realtree, Horsetown, Fire Aid, Hayes Auto Dealerships, Timbuktu Outdoors, Toyota at Cherokee County Toyota Works Tools, and the Whitetail Institute, the #1 provider of food plot seeds and instruction in the world. That's the #1 of Whitetail food plot magazine in the world, the Whitetail Institute. Okay, you're looking at me. Have anything before I have to go?
No.
Oh,
no.
You can listen to the show. Watch the show live on Facebook at O'Neill Outside Facebook page, and leave your questions or observations, or just watch the show there. It is live on there.
You'll have to take it up after this break.
Okay. We have we have questions from Facebook, and we'll get to that along with a balance of the program if you'll stay right there for O'Neill Outside, and we'll be back. We appreciate you joining us this morning on O'Neill Outside. We have a question via the Facebook page at O'Neill Outside. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Jeffrey, for this, and we'll get this straightened up. And he says, so to clear up something about an earlier question, can anyone hunt on power lines, or do you have to have the landowner permission? O'Neill made it sound like anyone could pull over to the side of the road and walk down a power line and hunt. I
understand that is correct. That is open property on power lines for you to hunt should you want to do so. Now, if the adjoining property, of course, is owned by someone, you need to have permission to cross. But I think you can stop along the side of the road, walk down a power line, and you can hunt.
It would be a good idea to have a hunting license, too, wouldn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Just checking.
A hunting license would be preferred.
Yes.
For sure. All right, let's get to some of the callers right now. Kevin is, if I can reach around here, Kevin's been holding on quite a while. Good morning, Kevin. You're on O'Neill Outside. Welcome.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for having my phone call.
Yes, sir. How can I help you?
I had a question. My daughter's boyfriend is in a tournament down on Lake Seminole. We live in Coweta County. I have a friend who's taking his nephew from Oconee County to the same tournament.
Okay.
The neat thing about this tournament is I think they're expecting upwards of 200 folks.
Wow.
But it's all high school kids.
Oh, good.
It's high schools fishing teams have got their own little circuit from what I've picked up from talking to this boy. But I think it's just remarkable that on a Saturday morning, In fact, they left yesterday in practice and everything, and on a Saturday morning, they're down Lake Seminole, hopefully fixing to catch some fish.
I think they probably are. February is a good month.
400 high school boys.
That's great. That's the participation in outdoors by teenagers and young folks is very encouraging to me. You don't get in trouble. Here's something that's interesting. If you play high school baseball, football, or any sport, you have a referee, someone that will penalize you if you break the rules, okay?
Okay.
In the outdoors, you're on your own.
Yes, sir. It's all integrity.
Yes, indeed. It's a good way to look at it. That's great. I'm encouraged that there's so many people, both at college and high school level, participate in organized outdoor sports that involve the outdoors. I'm proud of them.
That's right. I can't wait to find out more information about it. I searched a bit on the web. Wasn't able to find out a whole lot, but I think that's going to be my mission for this next week, is to find out where the next tournament is going to be. I know they've already had them at Sinclair, Eufaula, and Hartwell.
Okay.
And now they've added Seminole to the list. But I just think it's remarkable that you get kids from all over the state to drive all the way down there to South Georgia to fish.
I think it is, too. It's put a smile on my face knowing about it.
Sir, have a great morning, sir.
You bet. Glad you called. Glad you take the time to call. Good idea. Mac is on line 3. Mac is calling with the Ram Fishing Report. So what do you say, Mac?
Good morning, O'Neill. How you doing?
Just fine. What are these longer days going to mean for fishing across the South?
It means they're going to bite. It means
Oh,
we're going
boy.
to start catching them. So, yeah, that's, I think, one of the biggest indicators when the days start getting longer, and particularly when you get to the point that the number of hours of sunlight and darkness are the same from that point forward, it's usually game on.
Oh, boy. The
So,
fish
but
don't.
Yeah, we're seeing – go ahead.
I was going to say, the fish don't know any better.
They don't. They know it's spring, and they know it's time to start moving. And, of course, what we're experiencing now across the southeast, we're having this really warm weather, and lake temperatures have elevated way past the point of normal. Lanier yesterday was 53 and a half, which for this date's very warm.
Indeed.
And looking at a long-term forecast, you know, we don't have any really, really cold weather between now and 1st of March. So I'd be curious to see what happens. But things are moving fast between the daylight thing we were talking about and now the elevated temperatures. The fish are responding to that, too. A lot of fish pulling up shallow and thinking springtime. So, yeah, it's different. Things changed dramatically in the past week. Plus, most of our lakes rose pretty dramatically. Lanier did. And typically when the lake levels come up, fish will come with it. So you might really want to look a lot of shallow fish out there.
They'll follow. They'll follow the water as it rises. Good. Are you catching some
Absolutely.
stripers?
Striper fishing's okay. They're really scattered. They're biting. They're really scattered. It's hard to find groups of fish, so that's making it tough to run up good numbers. And the best pattern here is pulling live baits over open water areas where there's a lot of bait. And this throws people off a little bit because we're catching fish on planer boards and flat lines, but we may be fishing over 70 to 100 feet of water.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and that's that concept's a little bit tough, but the fish will feed up. The fish that are deeper will feed up, and a lot of them are very shallow. At least they're up in the water column over very deep water. A lot of other patterns, too, because, again, they're scattered. Free water distributed all over the lake, but that's probably the primary pattern now. Decent umbrella bite, just pulling contour, trolling, pulling down banks, basically, where you're over a 25 to 30-foot bottom. If you're going bass fishing, the easiest thing here, there's a lot of fish on docks. And if you're not familiar with the lake,
yeah.
that's an easy pattern because you just start running from dock to dock. But watch, because a lot of fish on docks are as shallow as 3 or 4 feet. Not just in 3 or 4 feet, but don't rule out. You know, you're thinking mid-February. Here we normally fish more like 15 to 25, but you might well consider that 3 to 25 today because there are some fish pulling up.
Well, it sounds like a good report, so everybody should plan a trip.
It's time to fish. That's the bottom line, O'Neill. The days are longer. As you pointed out, it's time to fish. Forget about responsibility. It's time to fish.
There you go. I appreciate the
Get out
report,
there.
Mac.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you next week. Everybody get out there on the water, catching the fish. Be safe and enjoy.
You bet. Thanks for calling, Mac. Great report.
Thank you, sir. See you
You
next
bet.
weekend.
See you soon, pal. He always, Mac always I know I mentioned this to you guys, radio and on Facebook right now. If you'll think about it when you're communicating or listening to someone, they're more understandable, and you can understand them better. The same thing said two different ways. If they speak in complete sentences, and MacFar does. Yes, ma'am.
You're really high on that.
Oh,
I've noticed that.
Well, I think you'll have a conversation with someone, and you've understood what they said.
Yes.
And you don't know why, but they're a good communicator. You say I enjoy talking with them. They're a good communicator. I understand what he or she may be saying, and you don't recognize that you just heard that conversation in complete sentences.
Mm-hmm.
It's not maybe. Well, let me say, on another. It's hard to communicate. It's hard to listen to somebody when they're talking that way.
I've been afraid. We've watched so much Downton Abbey lately. I've been afraid we're going to start talking with a British accent.
Yes, with the cold, wet weather, and it's been raining up here on the mountain for
forever.
For a long time, and we are watching Downton Abbey in the cold, and we're going to start speaking with British accents, which are very, very odd.
Would love to be able to remember some of the phrases they use.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, anyway, and that's what we'll do part of the day because it's going to rain again.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Here across the South, it rains every 3 days in the springtime, in February and March, and you can plan on it. Every 3 days or every 4 days, it's going to rain. Now, high at 2,500 feet where we live this time of the year, we are usually in the clouds.
We are actually higher than 2,500 feet.
Are we?
Yes, we are.
According to the wobble of the earth. Mm-hmm.
That is true. But yes, we have weather up here that they don't have down in the flatland.
Yeah. Living high on the mountain.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to get out of here. Let me give you the telephone numbers, 404-872-0750, or outside the Atlanta calling area at 800-972-8255. It's 22 minutes after the hour. You can listen to the show on WSB, on 95.5 FM, and on the SB Nation radio across the country. And when we return, we'll have the silent hero description and account. I promise. Yeah, the Ronnie Thames EMT Firefighter Recognition account. And here we go. David Baquet was just enjoying a quick lunch when he chanced into a life-threatening situation. David is an EMT. He was between classes at the University of Delaware Emergency Care Unit. He was in training when an elderly man rushed in and frantically asked if any of the restaurant staff was trained in CPR. The elderly man's wife, a 69-year-old woman, had gone into cardiac arrest as they were driving home. Baquet immediately rushed into action, leaving his lunch on the table, thank goodness, and began chest compressions on the woman. He managed, this is great, now listen, he managed to restart her heart. Yeah. And he stabilized her before on-duty paramedics arrived and transferred her to the hospital. A silent hero by the name of David Baquet.
He's a good-looking boy, too.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, he's on there right now.
He's on here right now.
The silent hero recognition. So there we are. 404-872-0750, 800-972-8255. Hey, here's our buddy Hank the Yank. What do you say, buddy?
Top of the day to you down, sir.
Oh, he suddenly has a British accent.
Love it.
It's a bit tinged with the Brooklyn also, you know, understand?
Yeah, it's a little South Brooklyn and a little, I actually work for a guy from the UK. My boss is from the UK.
Oh, really?
So I hear it all the time.
Good.
Anyway, how are you guys doing today?
Wonderful. It's early.
It is early.
Yeah.
I'm I'm actually moving around because I'm going fishing. I'm not wishing. I'm actually going fishing this
Good for
morning.
you.
So, which I'm excited about. So, two things I want to mention to you. First, let me give you a quick lake report just for those folks that want to go out there, especially those if they want to give it a shot with the fly rod. Things are starting to wake up a little bit. I will tell you this. So I was listening to Mark giving his report. The bass are starting to move up shallow. They are getting up on the docks, and for anglers that want to catch some bass, you know, it's a jerkbait bite. That's the one thing we want to tell you guys, that for the conventional angler, it's time to get out and throw jerkbaits at the docks, and you'll catch. You know, you may get one every now and then. You won't get one on every dock, but you will probably get one on every other or every third dock.
Okay,
But
that's a good pattern.
But for the fly rodder, you want to go out, and if you're fishing in a dock where it's about 10 feet deep or more, you want to throw a sinking line with a fly that's going to actually dart left and right. And so we do have flies that we actually design that actually are made to dart left and right, similarly to a jerkbait. If you're fishing in super shallow water, then you want to throw a slow sinking intermediate line, not a fast sinking line, because you can work it much more slowly. So it just depends if your docks are up shallow, your docks are out over 10, 15, 20 feet of water. That you need to carry two rods in the boat. But for the fly angler that wants to catch a striper today, I will tell you, O'Neill, this is going to remind you of our day back in February 1999. Do you remember we were fishing the very backs of the pockets in the creeks, in the coves that had creeks coming in, fresh water coming in?
Every cove had to have some fresh water flowing in.
That's right, and that's the pattern that we're actually starting to see emerge right now. Some of those coves can actually be 2 or 3 degrees warmer than the entire cove you're in. And if you'll find those little pockets in the backs of those coves, they're going to be loaded with little threadfin shad, and you will see a little bit of surfacing activity in the backs of those pockets. So you've got to drive around. You've got to use your Humminbird fish finder or whatever fish finder you're using, and use the water temperature gauge to see what the difference is when you pull into the back of a cove. When you get into the mouth of the cove and it's 50 degrees and you pull into a back pocket and it's 52, 53, you're probably going to hit pay dirt. That's where you're going to see the fish.
That's the signal.
That's the signal. Look for kingfishers in the backs of that cove. Look for a heron sitting on the bank. There's a lot of visual giveaways from our bird life right now. You might see a grebe or a loon in the back pocket going down and eating bait. So there's it's not like you just have to find the warmer pockets and go, okay, where do I look? You know, go into the coves, pull in, and look for signs of bird life. It's a really handy way to find out which cove they're in.
Well, all right. Now we're talking about the fly guys, okay? Now that was when you took me fishing that day. You said when, 1998?
Yeah, 98 or 90. It was right in there.
Okay.
98 or 99. Mac introduced us.
That's right, and that was the biggest striper I ever caught on a fly. What was he, 12 pounds or so?
Yeah, about 12 pounds, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we caught that fish in probably, I would say, 18 inches of water is where that fly landed.
That's right.
And that was second, third week of February. It's right around this time of year.
Okay. Now tell me, since
you know
that
what?
time.
It was on a, yeah.
Tell me, since that time, do you have more people fly fishing now than then?
Oh boy,
on southern
that's
lakes?
A loaded question. Yeah, it's we talk about in the world of fly fishing across the country. Muskie is the big thing going on right now. That's what everybody in the world of fly fishing wants to do, is go out and catch a muskie on a fly rod. But here in Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, northern Florida, we don't have muskie. So the apex predator is striped bass, and striped bass has come on like gangbusters. I will tell you that Lake Lanier here in North Georgia is ground zero for fly fishing impoundments for striped bass across the country. We probably have close to 75 boats, between 70 and 75 boats on any given day that'll come out and fly fish. And, I'm very, very close with a lot of the conventional guides on the lake, like Mac Farr and Clay Cunningham and Ron Mullins and all those guys. And to hear them over the last 3 years say, I just can't believe I'll go out on a certain day and there's actually, I'm seeing more fly rodders out there than guys drowning bait is amazing. So it's come a long way.
Well, I'm glad to hear
that. It's come
that.
a long way. Well, and to take it to the next step, so a week from today, Alpharetta Outfitters is having their first tournament called the Southern Striper Open. And what that is going to be, it's a fly fishing tournament for striped bass. And you can have, 2 anglers in a boat or 1 angler in a kayak, and all the proceeds go to help Project Healing Waters and fund Project Healing Waters, which is an organization that helps veterans coming back and introduces them to fly fishing, whether they have, any sort of a mental injury like PTSD, or they've actually had a problem where, something has happened and physically. They take care of those folks by introducing them and bridging them into something to take their mind off of what's been ailing them, physically or mentally. It's a wonderful organization, Project Healing Waters.
Very admirable.
And we've got right now close to 30 boats signed up for the first tournament. And
is that a surprising number for you?
It's an extraordinary. We thought we would probably have about 10 to 15 boats max, and we've doubled it right now. And it's just all the entire manufacturing base has just ponied up. People like Orvis and Sims and Patagonia and Sage and just, all the companies, Smith Optics, whether you're a fly rod, fly reel, hatch reels, Dodge reels, lines, sunglasses are all ponying up prizes for the folks because they know that all proceeds, all the money, this is not a money tournament. All proceeds, 100% go to Project Healing Waters.
Well, that's good. That's I think all tournaments should be that way. All local tournaments should be charity-driven.
Yeah,
frankly,
I'm with you. I couldn't. You're a tournament guy. You're a past tournament guy.
Yes.
I've never been a huge fan of tournaments, but this is the kind of thing that I just think is wonderful. It's just it's great that there's you're fishing for a good cause, and obviously I will tell you this. I will leave you with this, O'Neill.
Okay.
So your boy Fluffy is going to be fishing in this tournament.
Okay, good.
And being that he's a part-time guide, I told him every team, every group, every boat that enters needs a team name. I told him he needs to go into Team No Excuses, but he refuses to do it. Being that he's a part-time guide on Lanier, I said, you have no excuse. But he's not doing it.
Well done.
He's wussing out.
Well done.
All right, buddy. Look, have a great weekend, and we'll speak to you all next week.
You bet. Look forward to it. Have a great weekend yourself. Before I go to the break, let me encourage you, please, watch O'Neill Outside and go to O'Neill Outside or go to YouTube and watch the shows. And if you do that and you can learn something from my guests, then by all means subscribe. Doesn't cost anything, but it means a lot to O'Neill and to Woman Williams when you subscribe to the O'Neill Outside YouTube channel. And you can watch all of the shows. They're all there. And you can watch some at o'neilloutside.com there also. So there you are. You're looking at me again.
Yes, when we come back, I have a couple of Facebook things.
Oh, Facebook questions?
Address.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we can do that. And beyond that, too, let's see if there's something else I wanted to mention here. At O'Neill Outside, on the O'Neill Outside television program today, throughout the weekend, and it's on various channels. It's on there almost every single day. It's a program I shot a couple of years ago with Davey Height. Now, Davey is a tournament winner, angler of the year, Bassmaster champion, and you will learn a lot about bass fishing if you watch O'Neill Outside today with Davey Height. Got to go to a break, and we'll be back. At O'Neill Outside Facebook page, we have a couple of inquiries. Honey?
Oh, yes. Let's see, first of all, William Harris says that you've got some crazy-looking mounts on your wall, which is true. And he says you must have a story behind each one. So you can take a moment and tell him where he can find out about that.
Yes. She's talking about the radio show is produced and sent out from my little man cave trophy room, and it's covered in deer heads and fiberglass fish mounts. And you can are you referencing the fact that you can go to Facebook from
Yes,
time
like
to time
you did
and watch
yesterday.
those?
Yes,
Okay.
the ones you did a few yesterday, and you just
Mhm.
have to look around. But you go to O'Neill Outside Facebook page, and you can find videos of that. We're adding them, occasionally,
Mhm.
not every other day or anything. How often are y'all doing
A couple
that?
of times a week.
Okay, I was kind of like
Yeah,
every other
right.
day almost. All right.
Yeah, and indeed there is, and that's why those fiberglass mounts are here. They are indeed. There's a story about around every one of them. It always has to do with me, of course, but because I caught the fish. But every one of them, there's a story. They're all fiberglass, and there's some trophies in the room. If you'll go to the Facebook page at O'Neill Outside, you can watch some of the videos there. There's a 75-pound rooster fish, a 51-pound redfish, a 35-pound permit, and there's critters all over the wall. So at 41 after the hour. Let me give you the telephone numbers, 404-872-0750 or 800-972-8255. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and Winfred wants to know. He's from Florida and he loves to fish. He's used to saltwater fishing,
Uh-huh.
and he wants to know where he can fish in the Atlanta area and what type of fish would he be fishing for, and what type of bait should he use.
Fishing in the Atlanta area?
Mhm.
Okay. The way for you to make the most productive day is for you to telephone Mac Farr or Ken Sturdivant or Doug Youngblood or some of the guides at Lake Lanier. Fishing is good. It'll make the day best if you hire a guide and learn from him about how to fish locally. Of course, if you're a trout guy, the best trout stream in that's available to you in Georgia is, quite surprisingly, the Chattahoochee River before it flows through Atlanta, around Palisades and let's see, what's the name of it? Fishing through Atlanta, rivers through Atlanta. Look it up. You can trout fish on the Chattahoochee River before it gets to Atlanta. Right now, here's our old buddy Bill. Good morning, Bill Carson. What do you say?
Good morning, O'Neill. I'm getting ready to go out and hit the woods myself, but
Good for you.
The woods. I'm at the lake.
Okay.
Hey, listen, I wanted to mention something to you. You were talking about college and high school fishing and the state of what's going on in fishing, and the number of kids that are in fishing in high school and college is unprecedented. I wish we had it when I was a kid. The last event that I went to was out in Texas on the Sabine on Toledo Bend.
Okay.
And there were 243 boats in that event.
Wow.
So college is really taking off. High school is taking off as well. The high school event took place on Sunday after the after the college event, and this was just 2 weeks ago. There were 266 boats in the high school event.
I am so impressed with that.
It's pretty cool. And one other thing I wanted to mention too, you mentioned a guy that there is not a nicer, more helpful guy in the land for bass fishing, and that's Davey Height. What a class act that dude is.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
So,
and you can watch him on O'Neill Outside this week.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you mentioning that, because even around here, like Buford High School and the other high school teams, they're all into it. They want to go do it every day, and it keeps the kids out of trouble, and it gives the future of fishing has never been in better shape from the standpoint of the anglers. That's for sure.
I'm glad to hear that.
So thanks for everything you do, bud. I'll see you soon.
You bet. Glad you called. Call more often, Bill.
All right, bye-bye.
You bet. See you later. There you go. Let's see now. It's 45 after the hour. We've got a chance right now to talk to Richard. And Richard is calling from West Virginia. Good morning, Richard. You're on O'Neill Outside. Welcome.
45 after the hour here, too. I guess we're in the same time zone.
It must be. Yes,
I wanted to
indeed.
find out, because you talk a lot about the Bassmasters. I just wondered, just say, like, I don't know, if you're an avid fisherman and you say, boy, that's my goal to fish in the Bassmasters. And I heard you say you have to fish in local tournaments. What kind of local tournaments? How many different tournaments? What all do you have to do to qualify for the Bassmasters? What does somebody have to do to qualify for that?
Oh, for the Bassmasters tournament?
Yes.
Well, usually the entry fees and are pretty much paid up, yearly. Because there's only so many boats. It's not a wide open. For you to fish in a Bassmaster, it's not wide open. There's a certain number of participants that are allowed. So you have to get into that way in advance. Beyond that, to qualify for the Bassmasters Classic, of course, are the qualifications that are necessary through the tournament trail. Does that help with your question, Richard?
Okay.
Does that help with your question? That to get in the
Really.
Bassmaster tournaments, you have to enter, and the entry fee is several $1,000s. Most of them are sponsor-driven.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, I mean, how do you go about getting a sponsor? How do you do anything? I just know somebody locally here who was an avid fisherman, but I never heard anything about him being a Bassmasters, and I just wondered, I mean, an entry fee, where do you pay the entry fee? What's the process you have to go through to even qualify to be like, I can't think of his name. I think his name was Claude Van Dam or somebody like that, to be somebody like that who won the Bassmasters. I mean, just wondered what all the process is.
That fellow is Kevin Van Dam, and yes, I've never fished in a Bassmaster tournament, but it's highly structured, and to enter into a Bassmaster tournament, you'd have to go to Bassmaster and find out what those qualifications are. Qualifications, I don't know. I'm sure they're full with participants. There's only a few. There's only so many spaces in each one. It's not like 200-300 boats could be at a Bassmasters tournament. It's highly structured, and you'd have to find that out via Bassmaster.com. I don't know what those qualifications are.
Did you ever wonder why they just have Bassmasters, why they wouldn't have like a Trout Masters or a Muskie Masters or something like that, that's only limited to just one species of fish? Did you ever think about that? I just did. I just wonder if you ever did.
The reason, well, you have Crappie Masters, Trout Unlimited, but those things are not as structured as tightly as they are with bass. But of course, bass gets away with it because it's the most popular fish, and you can fish for that guy year round. And that got started in the mid '60s, I believe. This was the first Bassmaster tournament. But Bassmaster.com would be able to give you those things. It's not open to just anyone. And how do you get sponsors?
Bassmaster.com is the key. That's what you need to know.
Yes, that's where the information would come from.
You can find out how to qualify for that tournament.
To qualify for the.
Thanks, O'Neill.
You bet. I appreciate you listening to the program. I really do. There you are. And let's see, what's my out time here? I've got. Oops. Am I past? No, I'm not. Okay. I've got time quickly then to speak to Chauncey. Good morning, Chauncey. I've got a couple of minutes. Let's go for it.
Sure. No problem. This is Chauncey from Chicago.
Yes.
The question about Bassmasters, there are open tournaments that anyone can get into. Then the Elite Series, as you are correct, it's a one-time, they pay up all their fees at the beginning of the year to cover them through their tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
But they can they can work their way up through qualification with open tournaments and winning certain numbers of them to kind of like build a resume to get into the Elite Series.
Good. Yes, the Elite Series are that's a closed shop right there, so to speak.
That's a closed shop, right. That's a closed shop. And then how you do in the Elite Series gets you into the Bassmaster Classic.
Good. I'm glad of that explanation. It's been a long time since it's been explained to me.
That's okay, my friend. You got to hit those outs because I got to hit my outs in about an hour.
There you are.
All right, buddy.
Good deal. Glad you called, Chauncey. Call more often.
Bye-bye.
There you are. That's a nice was a nice interlude there from someone, Chauncey from Chicago. And if you want to watch O'Neill Outside, you may do so at O'Neill Outside Facebook page. In about 3 or 4 seconds, we'll begin the Medal of Honor tribute. And my engineer will start that right now, I think.
Honor, courage, and strength of character. These qualities are embodied by the recipients of the Medal of Honor. Now let's recognize this week's Medal of Honor recipient on O'Neill Outside.
Medal of Honor recipient Sergeant Ray McKibben, Vietnam, December 1968. Sergeant McKibben was leading a patrol along a well-traveled trail when they came under heavy automatic weapons fire from a fortified bunker. Sergeant McKibben immediately charged through the bamboo and the brush, and he killed the enemy gunner and directed his platoon farther. He did it on his own. As the patrol again came under heavy fire from another camouflaged set of bunkers, McKibben saw one of his men fall wounded, and although bullets were hitting all around the wounded man, Sergeant McKibben sprang to the soldier's side, pulled him to safety, and administered first aid. McKibben, seeing that his comrades were pinned down against the enemy bunkers, again undertook a single-handed assault. He charged through the brush, and hail of bullets closed in on the bunker. He killed the enemy in that bunker and continued to the next, firing his rifle. Soon, he ran out of ammunition. However, he captured another enemy weapon and fired that one until it was empty. So he killed the enemy with hand grenades. That's the only thing he had left. He reloaded his weapon, covered the advance of his men. Seeing another bunker, boy, this guy was something, he ran again, single-handedly assaulted the position, and as he neared the bunker, he was mortally wounded. But prior to, he was able to fire a final blast from his rifle, killing the enemy and enabling his patrol to continue the assault. Sergeant McKibben's courage, heroism, concern for his fellow soldiers, and disregard for his own personal safety saved the lives of his fellow soldiers at the cost of his own life. Sergeant Ray McKibben, Vietnam, December 1968.
We appreciate all of the Medal of Honor recipients, but it especially touches me when we recognize the ones in Vietnam, because they were so underappreciated, in my opinion.
That's right, and they were our age.
That's right. Yes.
That's right. Okay, we got to get out of here for a break. This is O'Neill with O'Neill Outside. It's 54 after the hour, and we'll be back. Well, we've had quite a number of calls this morning, and I'm proud to say that on O'Neill Outside this morning, we had a lot of calls about collegiate and high school bass fishing tournaments and the participation thereof. Isn't that encouraging? Yes, it is, that young people are so involved in the outdoors. Bill Carson told us that it's unprecedented, that the future of fishing and outdoors and bass fishing is being embraced by young people. And I'm proud of that. I hope we have something to do about that here. A couple of reminders. You can go to o'neilloutside.com. You can watch all of the O'Neill Outside episodes there. You can purchase directly Fire Aid. There it is right there. Fire Aid, and that's a safety deal. I had to use Fire Aid once, and it put out a fire when I was cooking on a grill, a propane-powered grill at the time, at a little contest, and Fire Aid saved us. It will you. I hope you never have to use it, but Fire Aid, and if you buy it at o'neilloutside.com, you'll also get a Fire Aid cap. So beyond that, listen, thank you for all the calls and your participation in the program. I hope you enjoy some of our features, the Woman Williams and her words of wisdom, the Silent Hero Recognition description, and, of course, the Medal of Honor, which we're most proud of. So If you've enjoyed watching the program at O'Neill Outside Facebook page, go to YouTube also and subscribe for that. It means a lot to us. It doesn't cost anything, and you get to watch the programs. Yes, ma'am. Anything left over from Facebook?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered everything. I hope so. If I did not, I apologize.
You got it
profusely.
Made. Okay, another O'Neill Outside live broadcast is all done. You can watch it repeated on Facebook throughout the week. This is O'Neill along with Woman Williams and Karen Green and Brian Green, and this week Alan Hunt at WSB. And we thank you for your participation in the program. You have a great weekend, and keep this in mind. If you're too busy to go fishing and take a kid along, you're too busy. And I'll see you next week.